Welcome back, the fifth week of the Quiet Man series, and this is episode 29. Now it's titled Three Boxes and the Grand Old Duke of York. What on earth have they got in common? We will get to that as this episode unfolds. The chapter in the book starts with me doing a peace and reconciliation course at Bournville College in Birmingham. And there was a very interesting snippet on that course. Now, when you have war in factions, what you have to do is you have to find what's called a point of commonality. So anybody that's listening to this, that's looking to reconcile war in factions in their business, in their teams, you have to create a space where the parties can come together and find a point of commonality. There was a very interesting piece on the course about non-violent resistance. We've all heard the term turn the other cheek, but do you actually realise where it came from? A man called Walter Wink did some research into some of these old sayings, turn the other cheek, walk the extra mile. And what he realised, it was the way of somebody that was being oppressed, essentially putting the finger up to the person in a position of authority. So turn the other cheek, what does that mean? Well, in the old days, a superior could turn round and they could slap you right across their face. Slap, like that. Now, if you're being oppressed and you turn round and you look at them and you turn the other cheek, and they can't slap you like that anymore, what you've done is you've effectively disempowered them. So turning the other cheek was a non-violent resistance to oppression, and what it was, go on, give it all you got. I don't care. In other words, you don't have control over me. I have control over me, and you are just what you really are. Turn around saying you're a dickhead. That's what they're essentially doing. Anyway, very nice piece on the course on peace and reconciliation. Turn the other cheek. Can't wait to use that one day with an arrogant superior. I've been waiting a long time. I'm sure my chance will come one day. One of the threads left in the previous chapters was I had those three pieces of luck, the three buses that came at once. And one of them was this German chap that turned round to me and said, I want to do a German version of the book. And I just quietly said, well, go on, Peter, go off and do the research. Well, a year later, he came back. Now, when I did the research for my book, The A to Z of Positive Thinking, I'd used a little pocket dictionary that my parents had given me when I went to grammar school, the Oxford Pocket Dictionary. Peter, being German, had used the Duden. So it had taken him a year to go through the dictionary and find all the positive words in German and all the negative words and come back with the relationship between those two components. And when he came back to me a year later, he said, I am not happy. I said, why is that, Peter? He said, we are not as positive as you English. And I lost it. I found out that the Germans are not as positive as the English. From recollection, only 2% of their words were positive, but correspondingly, they weren't as negative. What it is the German language is actually flatter emotively. Peter took the research and went off and he did the book in partnership with Vera Birkenbill, who was a big German management consultant. Unfortunately, she's died, but we do still get royalty checks from Germany and it's still selling quite well over there. The Germans are not as positive as the English. We have the proof of that concept. What is happiness? Happiness is an energy level, isn't it? And I can remember teaching my son about this. We were in Fareham one day and he's starting to go off on one, and I get down and I sense check him, and then I give him a lesson on people's attitudes and people's levels of happiness. And we walk through Fareham town centre. We get to the post office and I turn around to him and I said, what did you notice when you looked at people, James? And he said, what I noticed was there were the really happy people, they were boisterous and they were joyous. And then there were those people walking around, great big frowns, hunched shoulders, looking down. And then there were calm people, just in the middle. I said, yes, James, what you have there is you have the facts of life. You can have people that are up, you can have people that are down, and you can have people in the middle. And I want you to draw that for me. And he drew 3 squares. And he drew this house with sunshine and happy family in the windows and a dog playing in the yard and people having a picnic and the grass growing, and it was just like a happy scene. And then he just drew a house with somebody just looking out. And then he drew a house with thunder and lightning and the roof was blown off. And I said, James, you've got it. Now, what it is those 3 energy states, those 3 places that people can be in. It's up to the people themselves which one they want to inhabit. See that sunny house there? I said that meant that some people put some work in to make that happen. That house that's just plain there, that's just a normal, calm place. It's good. It's normal, it's a status quo. And that one there with the roof blown off, it's just people going with the flow and letting things happen. And what it is you've got three boxes here. You've got box 3, roof blown off. You've got box 2, centered and calm. And you've got box 1, sunshine and happiness. And fundamentally, if you put the work in, you create the up energy. If you don't put the work in, it all goes down. The same place to live is in the middle when you get agreements between people on what's going to happen. And there's much more depth in the book on this. It's called 3 boxes. Same place to live is in box 2. Get things contractually agreed, meet people's expectations, have an agreement on what's going to happen, and you can create the up game. No expectations set. Going to be on a hiding for nothing, because if there's no expectations set, if there's no contractual agreements in place, it's all going to be based on assumption. And when you base things on assumption, you are heading for a disaster. Now, down energy generally is caused because people had expectations that they fantasized about, and therefore they turn around and say things like, I thought you were going to. You should have. And that means that nobody's taking control. Sanity is living in box 2, in that space where you get agreement, take control, play an adult game, take responsibility and make things happen. 3 boxes. Very, very powerful model. Now, I summed this up and I framed this around the Grand Old Duke of York. Do you remember the nursery rhyme? Go with me on this. The Grand Old Duke of York, he had 10,000 men. He marched them up to the top of the hill and he marched them down again. And when they're up, they're up. And when they're down, they're down. And when they're only halfway up, they're neither up nor down. And that is fundamentally what life's about. The up energy, where you put the work in. The down energy, where you don't do anything. Neutral energy in the middle. Sane place to be. I'm going to leave it there. This is chapter 29. It's been about energy. It's been about expectations. It's been about standing up to authority and turning the other cheek. And the English are more positive than the Germans. If you've liked this, give it the thumbs up. Comment on it, please. Share it with your friends. And I'll see you tomorrow for chapter 30. Thank you very much.